Hey everyone, I'm Ben Glasgow and welcome to Business Casually. This week's topic was about credit cards, so I wanted to hop on, make a video, just so I can kind of share some tips and tricks for how you could be effectively using your credit card. And jumping right in, my first tip is that you should be paying off the balance on your statement every month. So whenever your billing period ends and your credit card statement comes in, throw out the idea of looking at that minimum payment. Don't even consider paying that amount. You should be paying off the entire balance every month. And the reason I say that is because then you never have to deal with credit card interest. You never have to worry about having to pay these enormously high interest rates for purchases you made, and then also having kind of falling into that idea of crippling credit card debt. So by paying off your balance each month, you're not spending any extra for the purchases that you made than if you would have just used cash or a debit card. So it really just turns your credit card into a glorified debit card. And this really falls into the idea of don't spend money you don't have. I know I probably sound like a broken record. I've said this about 3 or 4 times in the article, but I just can't emphasize it enough. Just don't spend money you don't have. And this is because if you do that, you never have to worry about this credit card interest. You never fall into this huge amounts of debt. And in my own life, when I use my credit card, if I go to the grocery store a couple of times, if I make a couple of big purchases, I hop right on my banking website and I pay off that debt. Because I don't want to worry about spending more for things than I would have if I just used cash. And that's kind of the beauty of a credit card is that you could use it like a debit card, but still have the security of having a credit card that can protect you against fraud. So my second tip is that you should really be trying to keep your credit below 30% of your credit limit. And the reason you want to do this is because it can really help build your credit score. This is something I learned myself while I was researching it, and I'm going to be mindful about going forward. But when they look at your credit and they're deciding what your credit score is going to be, they are looking at your payment history, they're looking at your debt history, and they're really looking for these things that are you looking for things like, are you getting close to your credit limit? Are you only making minimum payments? And so by keeping your debt below 30% of your credit limit, it shows that you're a good borrower and that you're probably good to pay off your debts. And so what that can do is that could help boost your credit score and save you thousands of dollars when you go and get these huge mortgages to buy your house someday, which could just be astronomical in saving you money. So definitely try and keep your credit below 30% of your credit limit. My next tip is that if you're using a credit card, you should really be tracking the transactions that you're making with the credit card. And this really plays into the security aspect of a credit card. With security on your credit card, it can really protect you against those fraudulent transactions. So, for example, if you see something you didn't buy and it pops up on your statement, you can call your bank and be like, I didn't make this purchase, and your bank will get that transaction canceled, and you never worry about losing the money because the money never left your checking account. You didn't pay for it yet. It was on credit. And so by noticing those transactions before you pay off the debt, you never have to worry about clawing to get that money back. It's still in your account, it's safe and sound, and you're protected against fraud. And so by tracking transactions, you can better notice which ones you made and which ones, if there is one that you didn't make, you can spot it really easily. And tracking transactions really plays into my next tip of you should be making a budget if you have a credit card. Budgets are useful in helping managing your expenses and can really help protect you against credit card debt. So some people recommend using the 50-30-20 budget, which means 50% of your income can go towards necessities like housing, utilities, food. 30% can go towards wants like a cute jacket or maybe some fun outdoor activities. So, and other things of that nature for wants. And then the 20% would go towards like retirement, savings, paying off long-term debts. I know I will be covering budgets in a later week of Business Casually, but definitely if you're thinking about getting a credit card, do a little research, figure out what works best for you. Because the best thing to help protect you against credit card debt is holding yourself accountable and just not letting it get too far ahead of you, not getting too much debt that you can't pay it off. It goes back to that idea of don't spend money you don't have. And budgeting can kind of be a way to monitor that. And it's the most surefire way to protect yourself against crippling credit card debt. And so my final tip is that if you are struggling with credit card debt and you find yourself in a situation where you're just burning through that credit card, you're spending so much of it so fast that it just goes away before you even blink. What I recommend you do is you go back to spending hard-earned cash. And the reason I say that is because it's psychologically harder to hand over a dollar than it is to just swipe your credit card. Because when you swipe your credit card, that credit card goes back in your wallet feels just as thick, you never lost anything. But when you hand over that dollar, you can physically see the amount of dollars in your wallet go down. You physically have to go to the ATM and pull more money out of your bank account. Whereas with a credit card, you could go to lunch and then not pay for that lunch for 2 to 3 weeks. So it is a really great way to kind of get back to really realizing how much money you're actually spending if you use physical money instead of your credit card. And then once you get your habits back under control, maybe you let yourself start using the credit card again, but it's definitely a good way to kind of see how much you're spending. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to Business Casually this week. If you have any ideas for topics you want to see covered, reach out, shoot me a message. And I hope you guys are staying safe and have a great weekend.